In the dark days of World War II, the world witnessed unimaginable suffering, cruelty, and acts of inhumanity. Amid the devastation, however, a few brave souls stood out for their unshakable courage, risking everything to fight back against the tide of evil. One of those heroes was Witold Pilecki, a man whose name is not as well known as others, but whose story is one of the most remarkable of the war. He was a man who made the unthinkable choice to willingly enter the gates of Auschwitz, one of history's most notorious death camps, with a mission so dangerous that it defied belief. Witold Pilecki was a man born into adversity. He came into this world in 1901, in a Poland that had been partitioned by foreign powers, and as a young man, he fought to defend his homeland's independence during World War I and the Polish-Soviet War. But by 1939, the land he loved so much was again under siege, this time by Nazi Germany. The invasion of Poland marked the beginning of the Second World War and left Pilecki, like so many others, faced with a harrowing decision: to surrender or to resist. And resist he did. Pilecki joined the underground Polish resistance, the Home Army, immediately after the German occupation. By 1940, as the war raged on, the Nazis were beginning to implement their plan for the systematic extermination of millions of people, especially Jews, in concentration camps. One of the most feared of these camps was Auschwitz, located in German-occupied Poland. At first, Auschwitz was a prison for Polish political detainees, but it was rapidly evolving into a factory of death. The Polish resistance needed to know what was happening behind the barbed wire, and they needed someone to provide first-hand intelligence from within the camp. It was a mission that required nerves of steel, unwavering courage, and a sense of duty so strong that the danger would not deter them. Witold Pilecki was the man who volunteered. On the night of September 19, 1940, Witold Pilecki deliberately walked into a Nazi roundup in Warsaw. He was arrested alongside hundreds of others, and within days he found himself deported to Auschwitz. But unlike his fellow prisoners, Pilecki had entered the camp with a plan. He was there to gather intelligence, to organize a resistance movement inside the camp, and to provide reports to the outside world about the atrocities being committed there. Life inside Auschwitz was a living nightmare. Pilecki, along with thousands of other prisoners, was subjected to starvation, forced labor, and unimaginable cruelty at the hands of the SS guards. The mortality rate was staggering. Every day, men, women, and children were sent to their deaths in the gas chambers, their bodies incinerated in the camp's crematoria. Yet, despite the constant threat of death, Pilecki never wavered in his mission. Within a short time, Pilecki had organized a secret resistance cell within the camp. He gathered intelligence on the camp's operations, including the number of prisoners being murdered and the conditions they faced. He sent this information through covert channels to the Polish resistance outside the camp, and ultimately it made its way to the Allies. His reports were among the first accounts to reach the West, providing a detailed picture of the genocide unfolding in Auschwitz. Pilecki's work inside the camp was incredibly dangerous. Discovery would have meant immediate execution. He lived every day knowing that his life hung by a thread, surrounded by death and despair. But through it all, he remained steadfast. In addition to his intelligence gathering, Pilecki's resistance group planned several attempts to overthrow the camp guards and launch an uprising, though these efforts were never realized due to the overwhelming odds. For nearly 3 years, Pilecki endured the horrors of Auschwitz until the moment came when he realized that his mission had to come to an end. In 1943, fearing that he was about to be exposed and knowing that the Allies had yet to launch any direct action to liberate the camp, Pilecki made a daring escape. Along with 2 other prisoners, he managed to overpower a guard and flee into the night. He navigated the treacherous terrain surrounding Auschwitz and made his way back to Warsaw, where he rejoined the Polish resistance. Pilecki's reports were critical in alerting the world to the scale of the atrocities at Auschwitz. However, despite his courage and the vital information he provided, the Allies did not take immediate action to stop the genocide. For Pilecki, it was a bitter disappointment, yet he did not stop fighting. After his escape, he continued to work for the Polish resistance, participating in the Warsaw Uprising of 1944, a valiant but ultimately doomed effort to free the city from Nazi control. Sadly, Witold Pilecki's story does not have a happy ending. After the war, Poland fell under Soviet control, and Pilecki, who had fought so bravely for his country's freedom, became a target for the new communist regime. In 1947, he was arrested by the Polish secret police on trumped-up charges of espionage. After a show trial, he was sentenced to death. On May 25, 1948, Witold Pilecki was executed by a firing squad. His bravery, his sacrifice, and his extraordinary mission inside Auschwitz were buried under the weight of political repression, and it would be decades before his story was told in full. But today, we remember Witold Pilecki as one of the greatest heroes of World War II, a man who voluntarily walked into hell on earth to expose the truth. His courage in the face of unimaginable horrors, his tireless efforts to save the lives of others, and his unshakable commitment to the cause of freedom are a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Let us never forget the name Witold Pilecki and the legacy of heroism he left behind.